And good evening, everybody, and welcome to the best Dawg Gone Podcast in the land with Ethan and Heather. We are a part of the Fanatical Elves Network, a subsidiary of the Fans First Sports Network. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here. If you could tear yourselves away from our hometown fans in Cleveland who are watching the Cavs play like absolute duty.
Garbage. And for those of you who don't know, I'm Heather and he's Ethan. So just in case there was any confusion.
Okay, I don't know what I said anymore. I'm losing my mind.
No. I can see like some people saying, "Well, who is who? Who is who?"
Because I know it's difficult. It must be my haircut.
It is your haircut. I think it's mine. They're saying that. Wow, that Ethan is really looking pretty today. It's the shirt that you're wearing.
It's not safe to assume anything, Heather.
Not anymore.
No, absolutely not. And I don't even know where to go with that one. But wow. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in once again. Heather, glad to be back as always. We've got a lot on tap here to talk about. This coming weekend, the college basketball seasons are going to reach their conclusions. We've got the men's Final Four, the women's Final Four. Baseball season is underway. We've got some good information about the torpedo bats
that everyone is talking about, that no one has heard about but have been around, and they're perfectly legal. So you'll hear all about that today.
Yes, absolutely. You've got the NFL owners meetings that were going on for our hometown Cleveland Clowns. There was a lot that came out there. There's
always something.
It is never a dull moment, Heather. Never. It is always newsworthy. Again, they do provide a lot of content, don't they?
Mm-hmm. They do.
I think that's the best way I can put it.
Well, and that's the thing. We like to talk about all sports, not just Cleveland sports. But the thing is that the Browns give us so much fodder. Like, they give us the material writes itself.
It does. It absolutely does. I mean, there's never a shortage. It's an absolute clown show here. What happened? And the rest of the country laughs at us.
They're not even laughing with us anymore. They're straight up laughing at it, and we can't get mad about it. How can we get mad about it?
I don't know. I don't know. Like you said, like we discussed, it's great for us. It gives us a great sports talk. Great for us doing a podcast. We got lots to talk about here. So, Heather, where do you want to lead off tonight? Shall we go to the March Madness, or would you like to go torpedo?
Yeah, let's talk about March Madness, because it's pretty predictable. It's pretty predictable for both the men and the women. The men are all 4 number 1 seeds.
And that's the first time that has happened since 2008. Had you ever heard this term that I've suddenly started hearing this year, chalk? Had you heard that before?
Mm-mm.
I tried to research it, and apparently it goes back sometime. Maybe it's because it's easy to write something down in chalk.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't know, but yeah, all 1 seeds.
Yeah. So the all 1 seeds, did they have an easier path? Are they really all that good? I think they really are that good. Houston didn't look. Purdue played them really tough. When I saw Purdue Houston game, I thought, oh boy, if Purdue doesn't pull this off, I think Houston is not going to play well against Tennessee. And it was just one of those matchups where Purdue just happened to match up very well against Houston, and Tennessee did not. So you didn't see any Tennessee didn't expose anything on Houston, really. So
no, absolutely not. They absolutely did not.
And then, Florida has just been playing lights out all year long. I would not be surprised if Florida wins the whole thing.
No, I would not be surprised if they won it either. Certainly, Houston's strength is their defense. And thank you for joining us, Mike from the UK. I know you're watching the Cavs game.
Hi, Mike.
I'm trying to avoid the stuff in my periphery here because the Cavs are absolutely infuriating me last night. I felt so confident. Heather, last night joining us on Going Nuclear, we had on the voice of the Cavs, Tim Alcorn, and he made me feel so good about it. And now I'm angry again.
Well, they're only down by 9 now. They're only down by 9. And this is what they do, though. So I say that, and they just chucked up a 3 and missed it. But this is what the Cavs do. I digress because
okay. All right, back to the Final Four.
Yeah. What are you gonna say? So Final Four. So Ethan, who do you have? Who do you have in the men's for the Final Four?
All right. So Houston's strength is their defense, but they are playing arguably the best player in the game in Cooper Flagg. He managed to survive that injury in the ACC tournament, come back and seem to be unfazed. Unfazed. That team is the best team right now, I think, in the Final Four. Houston's going to have a hard time. They don't have any height. Their tallest rotational player is only 6'8".
And it's funny. But it's funny that we say that, like only 6'8", but it's just to put it into perspective. Lana and I were at the Cavs game. And we had floor seats. So it's not a flex. There's a point to this, I promise. So we're watching them warm up, and Mobley was out there, and Max Strus was out there, and Darius Garland was out there, and who is our I forget who else it was. DeAndre. Yeah. So they're all out there. And I'm like, Darius Garland looks really, really short because he's standing next to these big, huge giants. And Darius Garland is still like 6'2", 6'3", right? He's not short at all. But he looks miniature in comparison. So when you think of basketball, you just think how tall they have to be. And averages 6'8" when you have college players with their wingspan of 7 feet. You don't, Mike said he's still my height, but you're not out there playing, competitive ball. So it's funny to see the height difference. So 6'8" is not that tall.
No, it's all relative. It is all relative. I mean, they do have a center, Jacob McFarland. And I don't know what his stats are. I'd have to look him up a little bit here. But, I mean, he is 6'11". But, I mean, the size of of Duke, Cooper Flagg, and their center, number 9, who Mike I'm not going to, heard me last night try to not botch his name, but with an M. He's a big dude, number 9 for Duke. And they certainly have an advantage there. And, again, Cooper Flagg is playing well. I feel like they're playing some of their best basketball of the season. And I don't know how you can say they haven't been playing good basketball the rest of the season. You only lose 3 games all year. There wasn't a fall off at all.
The thing is that that's what the good teams do. They find another gear. So you're already good. Right. And sometimes that hurts you in the regular season because you play down a little bit to your level of competition. You're not playing teams that are matched with you, but now they are. When you get into the tournament, anything goes and anybody can win one game. So I think that's what they're definitely 7-2.
That's the guy.
Yeah. But you get into the postseason and you get into that extra gear, that extra competitive, that extra, okay, now we know that anything goes. And you lose in the regular season, you're fine. You lose it here, you're done. You're toast. So I think that's where it does separate the good teams because it is harder to stay good. That's the word. Yes. It's harder to stay good because you have to have that mentality.
Well, if you are favored over all your opponents in conference by a large margin, and you have that great of a talent margin, it is sometimes difficult to get up for that. Knowing, a loss is a loss, no big deal, whatever. Yeah. And then you get into March Madness, you get into the tournament, and it's do or die. This is it.
Yes, you're one and done.
Win or go home.
Yeah, and we know that anything can happen in one game. It's just the law. It's sometimes the blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. So that's where you have to turn it up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think that as you look at these matchups again, for Houston, their key to the game is going to be defense. For Duke, they've got the superior talent. They've got the size. Houston struggles offensively. They lead the country in their opponent's field goal percentage, 38.2%, and points allowed per game at 58.3. Also, fifth they as a team, though, are fifth in the nation in 3-point percentage, shooting 39.7%. That's not too bad.
No, that's not too shabby. I would take that stat.
Right. I think they're going to have to try to slow down Duke and muck up the game. Make it a defensive struggle in order to stay in it. And we'll see what Duke does, but Duke has really, really looked good on their way here to the Final Four. They have not – I don't know if I'd say they haven't been faced, a real tough road. I don't know. I feel like they've done an excellent job to get there the whole season, other than the guy vomiting on the floor in the middle of the year. And the
I know. Well, you just does anybody, Mike just asked, does anybody even really like Duke? Probably not. No. I think it's one of those, okay, that's an interesting phenomenon to me. That's a really question. It's an interesting phenomenon to me because why do we not like Duke? Mike Krzyzewski was arguably one of the nicest coaches, at least off the court. He wasn't a bad guy, but we hate teams that win. We really. Does anybody really like Duke? No. Do we know why? No.
Yeah, that is a good question. I think that probably, like you said, teams that win all the time, you tend to have that, I want to see them lose. But I feel like in as much as they've been really a great program, they don't win all the time. They do have very, very good players, a very good program. They are quite often vying for the national championship. But it's not every year. We're coming off of 2 consecutive years of the UConn men winning the national championship. So, I don't know. I like Duke better than I like North Carolina, and I'm not going to shy away from that position. And Mike, what do you have here? You actually have Houston beating Duke and Florida winning it all on your bracket. Well, I wouldn't put any money on that. And yes, I do also wish that Ohio State was half as good as Duke, and they may be about half as good. So if Duke gets about, 30 wins, then in fact, Ohio State might get about 15 because that's the way their program is looking. They have really fallen from grace here. And I'm going to keep this going here. Heather's having a little bit of technical difficulties with the internet, and we're going to keep on rolling here for a little bit. See if her internet goes in, if she can get back on. I know there's been some tough weather there, and I think she is back. So let's pause here. I think we got her back. All right. The internet work.
I hate it here.
You know what?
I hate it here.
You got me. You got me.
I do. Thank God I have you.
I'm here to pick it up and we'll be all good. And you say, okay, so thinks it's part as an elitist university.
That's fair. I actually do agree with that. That's fair because you do hear quite a bit like, we're at Duke. Like
that's true.
It's kind of like pretentious and it's ironic coming from the Ohio State, right? Like we are pretentious too. So I guess it takes one to know one.
Yes, definitely. And it's kind of fun. Well, you look at what's in the triangle there. I mean, obviously you've got Chapel Hill, Duke, and Raleigh. Well, yeah. I guess Duke isn't Duke. I'm sorry. I'm just using Duke University, NC State, North Carolina. And it seems like NC State is a little more blue collar. North Carolina isn't too shabby either. And then you got Duke. And I don't know. I do like Duke more than North Carolina. I will say that. I hated all the people who fell in love with North Carolina as kids because they worshiped Michael Jordan. And they were bandwagon fans.
I liked North Carolina. I wasn't Antoine Jameson, I think, played for North Carolina. I loved him. But it wasn't Michael Jordan that made me. I never got into that North Carolina Duke. Like you just hated both. I just hated both of them, right? Like
sure. I just wish, as Mike pointed out, we wish Ohio State was half as good as these teams, and so
in basketball, I guess,
in basketball,
you can't have it all. You can't have it all.
I suppose not. Not. You got to admire though what Kelvin Sampson has done at Houston. What a program he has made that become, and they are a perennial powerhouse. They've been in the Final Four recently. It's
Eric Montross. So see, it's okay if it's okay if it's not Michael Jordan that made you like him. That's okay.
Okay, I went to a basketball camp. Actually, I decided to hone my skills and be terrible by going to the Red Auerbach basketball camp, which was held up at Brandeis University, and Eric Montross was there. He came to the camp one day.
Nice.
So I have a little bit of a connection there with the Eric Montross connection. So I'm gonna go with. So I guess at the end of the day, I believe Duke is going to win this game. I just don't know that Houston has enough.
Oh, I think it's going to be Duke. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that Houston has enough firepower, and Duke should win this game. Let's hope it's competitive. I think that would be kind of nice as well to see a competitive game. I mean, Duke shellacked Alabama by 20, which I'm not upset about. They, wasn't a huge win to beat Arizona 193, but other than the Arizona game,
everything else has been very convincing.
It has.
You got to wonder, though, sometimes does that, I'm just grasping here, but does that hurt them a little bit, too, because they haven't had to have that intense pressure?
Yes. I could see that for certain, and I'd have to look back at their full schedule to see where they faced the most pressure throughout the season. Certainly, I mean, I'm looking, when was the last time? They haven't lost since they played terribly, and I do recall this game back on February 8th at Clemson.
Yeah.
And they couldn't buy it, and Clemson did everything right that game.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, though, that's one of those games where one game. Anybody can win one game, and everything goes right for you. Every shot you're putting up is you're nailing it. You're playing lockdown defense, and then the other team struggles offensively. In the regular season, it's fine. In the postseason, in March Madness, it's not fine. So I'll be curious to see if that hurts Duke, that they haven't had any challenges.
Right. Yep. They have been it's been kind of smooth sailing, other than that, the injury during the ACC tournament for flags. So we shall see. Now, what about on the other side of the bracket? Auburn and Florida. Again, it seems like the top teams all made it. They were all one seeds. They've all made it. Auburn, they played Florida. They're both out of the SEC.
They are, and they've seen each other. So that's yeah. I have Florida. I have Florida pretty convincingly, and even though a lot of people have Auburn maybe possibly winning the whole thing, I have Florida rolling through the rest of that. Maybe they don't roll in the final game, but I think that Florida wins this game a bit more convincingly than people think.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I haven't looked at what the betting lines are. The game back on February, kind of funny enough, the same day that Duke lost at Clemson, Florida went to Auburn and beat Auburn 90-81 back on February 8th. Florida has been tested. You talked about Duke not being tested.
They have.
Florida, they won by 2 points to take out UConn. That was a battle. They were down by 9 to Texas Tech with just 3:14 remaining in the game and outscore them the rest of the way 18-4.
That game was wild because I'm watching this game and I'm like, what is even happening? And then all of a sudden it's like Florida was like playing with their food. They said, okay, let's just close this out. Let's finish this. We're done. We're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to make it close. And they did. They just went on a massive run.
Right. And that's kind of what what I've seen and read, that's been a big strength of theirs, the ability to go on these kinds of spurts and knock teams out, to come back, whatever they need to do, they have the ability to do it. Certainly, they are led by their senior guard, Walter Clayton Jr., 18.2 points a game, averages 4.2 assists. And this is going to be, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Auburn is a very tough team. And again, these teams playing in the SEC, the SEC was the class of the basketball, of the men's college basketball this season for certain. And
yeah,
I think Auburn, they are battle tested, but we're going to have to wait and see. I know that John I. Broome is supposed to return to practice tomorrow, but he had a scary injury in the game against Michigan State going down. Nice. The betting odds here. So Duke
so it's Duke in Florida. So Ethan, it's almost like we might know what we're talking about.
Maybe it is possible. That's why we have a podcast. And
that's why we have a podcast, because we know what we're talking about.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is. Broome is so important for that team. I mean, he really cleans things up. 18.7 points.
That's not too bad.
10.9 boards. He's the SEC Player of the Year. You got to look for guys like Chad Baker-Mazara. I think that there's just something that tells me Florida is going to get this one. I don't necessarily want Florida to get it. I kind of like Bruce Pearl because he reminds me.
I actually don't hate Auburn. I actually don't hate. I'm sour grapes, so I don't want Florida to win because of what they did to us. And I think it was like 2006-ish. I think that they beat us in football and basketball. That wasn't a fun year. That was not a fun year.
No.
So I never want to see Florida win again.
I don't want to see Joakim Noah. No. I don't like Al Horford.
No, none of them.
I loathe them. I do loathe them. So I think that I'm going to be pulling for Auburn. And I was going to say, I kind of like Bruce Pearl because he reminds me of Jeff Garland, the comedian.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you that. Okay.
And I love that guy. I love Jeff Garland.
Love it.
He was classic on the Goldbergs as Murray.
Yeah.
And I often call my own children, "You morons! What are you doing, you morons?"
Nothing but love. Nothing but
love at all. And seeing him on Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David, he was a great character in that show as well. So I think I'm pulling for Auburn. I kind of gonna have to.
That's like the joke where men usually talk about their girlfriends or their wives picking teams. I'm picking this team because their coach is the hottest. I'm picking this team because I like the color of their uniforms, and then they all end up winning.
Right.
There's no science behind it.
No, and that's okay, and that is all right. So I would tend to think that Florida's got the upper hand here.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm going to go Florida. So we have our picks for the men. We can briefly touch on the women, and it's not that I don't want to give the women attention. No. It's just we've got a lot to discuss here. So we have the Final Four Friday and Saturday for the women. You have Texas and South Carolina, and then you have UCLA and UConn. Again, not really a big surprise there. All number 1 seeds except UConn, and they're a number 2 seed, so that can't be really an upset. So I've actually got it South Carolina and UCLA, and then I have South Carolina winning it again.
Yeah, South Carolina is going to be very tough. This is the first national semifinal for Texas since 2003. South Carolina, first of all, I should say South Carolina and Texas both being in the SEC.
Yeah, they're both in the SEC. So I got to go. That's why I'm going UCLA. That's why I'm going UCLA, because I want a Big Ten team in it. And UCLA is technically in the Big Ten now. So
that is just
I know. It's incidentally, it has made my year because I'm a big UCLA softball fan. So I get to watch them on the Big Ten Network now. That made my year.
That is fantastic. No, yes. UCLA, they've never been this deep in the tournament in the NCAA era.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have a difficult task ahead of them against Paige Beckers and UConn.
Yeah,
UConn,
no, I do too. I do too.
I mean,
And
I know
it's
what you're
nice
saying
to
in terms
see
of
UConn
proving
back.
this.
It's nice to. I wonder why people don't hate UConn though as much as they hate a Duke, and maybe it was because they're not pretentious. But UConn are winners, and I don't know. Maybe it's because of women's sports. The amount of tweets that I saw saying how much they hated women's basketball just made me so sad because it's you can't compare men's and women's sports. They're completely different. So of course they're not going to score 200 points, but neither are the men putting up like a gazillion points in some of these games.
No, and this is my experience, and pardon my boring the audience here, but having called women's basketball, college basketball, it's Division III, so it's a different level of skill. But what I will say is this: you're not above the rim. You're not going to see people that shoot 3-pointers at a crazy high clip and crazy high percentage necessarily. You're going to see a lot more skill, a lot more fundamentals. And I don't think that that's a bad thing.
No, so it's, you're not seeing dunks, but you're seeing a lot of skill. And I think that we've got to elevate these ladies and give them their credit because they bust their behinds.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're fantastic. They're great athletes. They are putting on an excellent product. The WNBA needs to get its just dessert, as well as the college game. These players are getting better and better and better. And it's different. It's apples and oranges to talk about the men's basketball and the women's basketball. I'm not, not to say it's like, oh, they're not even. The one is greater than the other. They're different. And different is not bad. So I think you're going to have they
are just different. And different isn't bad. No,
and we talked about it a while, maybe within the past couple of weeks. We were talking about the women's Final Four last year with, the spectacle in Cleveland with Caitlin Clark and how exciting that was. And the LSUs with Angel Reese and Kim Mulkey's a character. I'm glad they got knocked out. I am
too, LSU. But that's it. Love her or hate her. You're talking about her and her team and women's sports. And so how much of it is an act? I don't think it's an act with her.
No,
But you're talking about it, right? Like we're sitting here devoting a little bit of time on this segment to this, and how many, analysts across the nation are talking about it because it matters.
It definitely matters. And I'd love to see, because I can't remember if the ratings were better in the Final Four last year for the women than they were for the men, or very close. I can't recall. It seems to me that was a topic of discussion. I should have looked that up. But anyway you slice it, UConn is a historic program.
They are.
And they have for so long, they won 4 in a row from 2013 to 2016. South Carolina looking to be the first repeat champion since UConn won it 4 seasons in a row.
I was going to say UConn won it like 47 years in a row.
They were amazing. They really were, because and at that point you had the main battle was Pat Summitt and Tennessee and and Ariema and UConn.
Yeah, Gino Ariema. Yeah, you had everybody knew who Pat Summitt was. Everybody knew who Pat Summitt was. And it just wasn't. That's all you knew. You knew Pat Summitt, and you knew Tennessee, and you knew UConn, and that was kind of all you had. And then now all of a sudden, and I think that social media helps. I think that the exposure that we have helps, and that's nationally televised a lot. That helps. But I like to see that how elevated it has gotten.
And Heather, I'm just going to make this personal. I really hope that that Cleveland gets back their WNBA franchise, and I'm throwing my hat in the ring and my candidacy to be, if they're the Rockers, I'm going to be the voice of the Rockers. Somehow, some way, we're going to go.
I love it. Obviously, I'm advocating for you. Obviously, I'm going to advocate for you. I think you're amazing. So whoever is watching, make this happen. Let's make this happen.
I think so. We are going to make Cleveland basketball good more.
So And we are. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make the good again. I got the ratings, and the women actually blew the men out of the water. They averaged 9.4 million. The men did, and the women averaged 13.8.
Oh, and Mike's got even more. Games average 18.9.
Oh, I'm sorry, 18. Oh, 18.9. So I got average of like all of the. Yeah, that's are you talking about the final game probably? So that would make sense. Yeah.
It was amazing. It really was.
Yeah, it was just so nice to see it. And again, I don't want to hijack this and take it back to softball.
Go ahead.
Softball. Yeah, softball. I'm guys, if you don't know this, I'm a massive softball fan, and they are televising on ESPN and ABC now softball games because they blow NCAA baseball ratings out of the water. Like it's something like 10 times the viewership for the World Series. So it's just, for me, it's really fun and it's really cool to see the elevation of women's sports. I love men's sports. I love basketball. I love baseball, and we'll segue into baseball, but I love seeing the women get their credit. So let's just keep supporting them. Guys, watch the Final Four. You don't have to choose. You could watch both.
Yes, that is a nice one, kind of a good way that they've designed it here. Mm-hmm. By doing it in the alternating days, although I really loathe the fact that the men's games, same with the the football.
Is it like 11 o'clock at night?
Like, man,
hello.
When I was younger, I'm still old.
Well, that's it. People, the people like us who are giving you the ratings, we got to get up and go to work in the morning. No.
Exactly. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a fantastic Final Four. Looking forward to it. I know you're pulling for UCLA. Hey, that would be great for a Big Ten win. I could see a South Carolina UConn matchup, and that would be fantastic. Absolutely. So, everybody, get ready for 3
o'clock. 3 o'clock on Sunday is the final game. There's no, church is done. You can have nice dinner ready and watch the women ball out.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well,
should we pause?
Yes, we should. Before we move on to our next topic, let us take a time out here. You are tuned in to the best Dawg Gone podcast in the land with Ethan and Heather here on the Fanatical Elves Network, a subsidiary of the Fans First Sports Network. And welcome back, everybody, to the best Dawg Gone podcast in the land with Ethan and Heather here on the Fanatical Elves Network, a subsidiary of the Fans First Sports Network. So, what
baseball? Baseball started. Baseball, and okay. Do we just elephant in the room? 2 words: torpedo bat. Yeah. If you haven't heard what the torpedo bat is, everybody that's watching. So it's actually something that has been around a while. I did a little bit. I'm like, what the hell is a torpedo bat? Yes. I've never heard of this, and I've watched baseball my whole life. How have I never heard of this? Right. So what brought it about was the Yankees in the Saturday game. The Yankees hit 9 home runs, and they scored 20 runs against the Brewers.
Yeah, so that was just a butt whooping.
It was absolutely. It was insanity. So we're getting the it's officially a Cavalanche. So the Cavs must be playing like the Cavs, like they do in the second half of every game. I digress. Okay. So we're talking about what is a torpedo bat? Everyone is losing their minds. They're saying the Yankees are cheating, and everyone relax. They're not cheating. These bats are legal. So what is a torpedo bat? So a torpedo bat was actually created by a physicist, an MIT physicist. So Aaron Lenhart, he designed the bat so the barrel is closer to the player's hands rather than at the end of the bat. So from the way I understood it, yes, it has more density in the barrel. So the hardest part of the bat is in the barrel. So does that give the players an edge, or are the Brewers just that bad? Because
it might be a combination of the two there, Heather.
Exactly. Because Aaron Judge hit what did he hit? 3 home runs that game?
But he doesn't use it.
he doesn't use that bat.
Exactly.
He doesn't use that bat. So what do you think it is? Do you think it's a combination? Do you think it's an unfair advantage? Yeah. I think that yes, I think it's both. I think that the Brewers are just really bad.
Yeah, they got beat up in Yankee Stadium where
it's the easiest park, one of the easiest parks to hit home runs.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. But let me tell you, Heather, were you a fan of the movie Revenge of the Nerds?
Nerd.
Yeah. Okay, so yes. And when I finally looked up the information about the torpedo bat, and as you bring up the MIT, Lenhart. I go back to Revenge of the Nerds, where they are at the Greek games to win control of the Greek Council, and they have to do the javelin throw. And they decide, designed the javelin for Lamar's limp-wristed throwing style. And these geniuses come up with this floppy aerodynamic javelin that Lamar is throwing. I can't believe it. Oh, thank you. If you're he's beating out these guys.
To full disclosure, though, full warning, if anybody has never seen Revenge of the Nerds, it doesn't age very well. It's a little it's one of those you gotta watch it and appreciate it for the time that it was made. It's a great classic movie. Yes, the flexible javelin. Yes. And it was so awesome. So yeah, it's a little bit like that. You have nerds designing something for players to make it a little bit better. I feel like if it was such a huge advantage that all of the players would be using them. And right now they're only talking about it was because they dumped 20 runs on a bad team.
Right.
Talk to me again, halfway through the season. And if we're still seeing the Yankees consistently put up, 10 plus runs every game, then maybe we can talk about it. But right now I think if it were any other team besides the Yankees, this wouldn't even be a conversation.
Right. And if you may have read one of the same articles that I read, but I believe it was Giancarlo Stanton was using it last year, and he had some elbow issues, and they were wondering if it had anything to do with the weight distribution.
With the weight distribution of the bat. Yeah, we probably read the same article because I did see that. So it changes your swing. It changes your swing because of the distribution of the weight in the bat and because the way it hits. So
yeah,
I don't know. I just don't think it's that big of an advantage. I think if it was anybody but the Yankees, we really wouldn't even be talking about it. And I think once the Yankees come back down to earth, we will stop talking about it. And I don't know if you saw Dave Portnoy. He went on a freaking rant because he's a Boston fan too, though. So of course, because it's the Yankees, and of course his, his
isn't he in Michigan? Why is
he in Michigan?
He's I hate that.
Boston. So do I. Whatever. But can
we start a campaign of anti-Dave Portnoy?
I think there is. I think there is one.
Port annoying?
Yes, he's Port annoying. Yeah. So so we have a comment here. If most of the league is using it and there's a mass sample of more output, then maybe take a look. But there's something there because most teams and players are not using this.
No.
But Portnoy is talking about how it's ruining the integrity of the game and you're going to erase 100 years of history. And, and he just didn't do the research, I don't think, because this bat has been around a while. And I don't think it's affected the integrity of the game because also, Aaron Judge isn't exactly he's not Mr. October. He's not lighting it up in the postseason every year. And he doesn't use the bat.
Right.
So you would think that someone who has that kind of power would use it.
Sure. No, to their advantage. But at the same time, so wait a second. I would love to know if you're talking about the integrity of the game, I would love to know from Dave Portnoy what his thoughts are about the guys that are not in the Hall of Fame because of the steroids. Because I hear other jackasses, pardon my French, they should be in the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds, you can't hit a baseball. You know what? He cheated. He changed the game. Mark McGwire changed the game. Roger Clemens changed the game. They all cheated.
Sammy Sosa. I mean, who doesn't remember the Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire summer?
Amazing. It was fun.
It was amazing. It was so much fun.
They cheated the same way that Albert Bell tried to cork his bat. It's cheating.
I love Albert Bell.
Oh, yeah, that was great. And then did he try to climb through the ductwork or something to steal the bat?
He did. Amazing. I also remember, though, when he hit a home run and they tried to check him for a cork bat and it wasn't. And he was just like, that was like the ultimate. Yeah, the steroid era was pretty crazy. Like, at my age, growing up in it, I'm sorry, I didn't show the comment. At my age, growing up in that, it was exciting. I didn't know any better. It was great. Like I loved it. There were so many home runs. That was such a fun summer to watch that race between those two. I just can remember all of the catchphrases, and you watched. I've never seen so many, Cubs games in my life as I did Sammy Sosa. You were either Team Sammy or you were Team Mark. Like that was just kind of it.
Right. And they would break into the end of like Sports Center. Oh, now we're going to tune in. We're going to check out Mark McGwire's up the bat. Sammy Sosa. Yes. It was amazing. It was just amazing. But at the end of the day, so we talk about the imbalance and, why doesn't everybody use it? And, is it in this case, it's not cheating. And I'm not going to complain about it right at this moment. I'm not
either. I'm not there yet.
Right. I think that the Brewers are not great. And New York started out hot. They're playing in their stadium. They're already a very good team, and it's a combination of all of those factors.
And we do this every single year. Every single fan does this every single year. We are, 7 games into the season, not even 7 games for a lot of us. And, the AL Central is a joke right now. It's 2-3, 2-4, 2-4. But we're 6 games in. Like, let's talk about this halfway through it's a very, very, very long season. It's a 6-month season.
It's a small sample size. It's too small of a sample size.
Yeah.
I mean, for our sakes and using our team as the example, I see people going out of their mind because the Guardians have got swept in San Diego. San Diego is a very good team. First of all, they've got a good pitching staff, and how is their good pitching reflective of the fact that the Guardians traded away, or traded Josh Naylor and Andres Jimenez?
Right.
It doesn't. We had a log jam in the middle infield.
We did, and we always do. We always draft and pick up middle infield. That's just what we do.
Right. We've got Travis Bazana, the number 1 draft pick in the minors. He's coming along. Kyle Manzardo is also coming along and is in better shape and is a better hitter, has a better eye than Josh Naylor. I'm sick of the crying. And Luis Ortiz, we needed a pitcher. We're trying him out. We're waiting until Shane Bieber gets back. And, he stunk. He stunk, so we're all kind of sore about it,
We are. And it's a minor league defense. Again, it's still early. It's too early to tell.
I'm not worried about it.
I'm not gonna panic. And let's be honest, we overperformed last year. We overperformed. So again, this is like, is it reminiscent of the Browns? We go to the playoffs and all of a sudden we're going to the Super Bowl next year. Not with Deshaun Watson, we're not, but
right. No, and I think that's just how it is. These things happen. It's no biggie, but it's all about the sample size. So the torpedo bat, I saw the thing. It's like, hey, I'm going to pull out a bowling pin. And then the other example I thought of was in Happy Gilmore, where he creates the golf club that looks like a hockey stick for his putter.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's change the game. We'll make that legal.
Oh my goodness. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's just I think it was just a combination. The Brewers stink and the Yankees are good, especially at home.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm not buying it was all the bat. I think it's just the hubbub because it's the Yankees.
And Ellie De La Cruz, though, is using the bat, and he's doing pretty well, but he's a hell of a player.
Ellie De La Cruz does. He could have a wiffle bat, and I think he just has to get the ball in play, and he can just run. He's fast as you know what, boy.
He sure is. He sure is. So I don't know. We've got a long way to go in the baseball season.
We do.
I'm not going to lose my mind yet.
Yeah. I'm not either. I'm not there.
Except for the umpires suck.
Yeah.
How many pitches last night in the Guardians and Padres games were outside of the dang strike zone?
Yeah.
And he's giving them strikes all night long. If you're getting all these pitches called against you as a hitter, what are you going to do? You're going to go up there and flail away because you can't get a call.
I agree.
Get me a robot umpire. I
know everybody wants to complain about getting robots. Well, get me humans that can be consistent. If you're consistently bad, Angel Hernandez, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get garbage. Yeah, and the Browns fan, he says he runs like Willie Mays Hayes. He does. Ellie De La Cruz does. I would have to agree with you.
Does he also? But he does not hit like you may run like me.
He does not. He does not.
No, he certainly doesn't. And they need some bright spots there in Cincinnati. I'll root for Tito because I do like Tito.
I do like Tito. I can't hate Cincinnati, the Reds. Like I can't hate the Reds. I can hate the Bengals.
It's different because
I don't have enough room in my heart to hate the whole city.
Right, exactly. Since they're in Kentucky anyway, it's okay.
It is. It's like Toledo's in Michigan. Nice catch, Mace. Don't ever do it again. We should just do a whole pod on quotes from that movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey, CC Pedro. Yo, Martin. You need hats for bats. Keep bats warm. Oh my goodness.
So do we have anything else that we want to talk about with baseball? I think we covered the beginning of the season, it's because there's some exciting news coming out of the NFL. Before I don't know, Ethan, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the rule changes? Do you want to start with our drama?
No, let's start with the rule changes because I think that this is this is interesting to see what passed, what got tabled, and I don't know what the impact is going to be as we proceed into this next season, whether people are going to be happy about it or not. So where do we want to go first? The first big thing was the overtime rule during the regular season. It will now mirror the overtime rules in the playoffs, where both teams will get an opportunity to possess the ball, regardless of whether the first team possessing it scores a touchdown. However, it will remain only 10 minutes in that overtime.
I like it.
I think so too. I think so too. I know that some people were, I don't know. I mean, I know I'm old, but some people were crotchety. Well, play some defense. These guys are so darn good. It's hard.
They are playing. You get out there. Yeah, they are playing defense, though, or it wouldn't have gone into overtime because somewhere there was a stop.
Yeah.
So it's, I like the rules. You have to that rule, first possession touchdown, was the dumbest rule. I'm so glad that they changed it. Did you see, was it, who was it? It was, oh my gosh, who's the team that even proposed that trade? Like they put, or that rule change. They put an official request in, and I can't remember who it was now. I'm going to have to look it up again.
I will have to look it up again as well. It wasn't Detroit, was it? No.
It wasn't Detroit because Detroit put like a bunch of rule changes in.
They put in the thing about the playoff seeding. Right. They put in the thing about the playoff seeding.
Yes, they did. And that got tabled, I think.
And then I know that.
So I'm going to have to look and see.
Yeah. And I know that Green Bay wanted to do the thing.
Philadelphia Eagles. We can all thank the Philadelphia. Yeah. We can all thank Philly for the postseason change, or the overtime change.
Yes, we can thank them for that and cheesesteaks.
We can. And Saquon Barkley, the resurgence of Saquon Barkley. We can thank them for that too, because that was fun. The tush push, they tabled that. I don't think that they did anything with the tush push. I don't think that
they tabled it. They have tabled it for
Yeah.
now. And I think what they actually said is, or Goodell talked about, is going back to review kind of the idea of not being able to push on any play, which is what the rule used to be. And it wasn't just the tush push. It was, I mean, remember that play that the Browns had in that comeback win against the Ravens, Deshaun Watson's signature victory or signature moment? They had the play where we were pushing, were we pushing Njoku all the way down the field for like an extra 15 yards or something? Yeah. So, I mean, I
stop it then. Like, the tush push, the pushing, that doesn't bother me. Honestly, like, that doesn't bother me. You gotta do what you gotta do. Just figure out a way to stop it then.
Yeah, no, I get it. But that's the thing. I'd have to figure out, how is it stoppable? Obviously, Philadelphia is the only team that can do it. It isn't. Well, isn't it a rugby scrum though?
Yeah. Yeah, it was the Njoku play. Yeah. Rugby scrum. I mean, rugby's fun.
It kind of is nice to get out there and beat the snot out of each other and tackle people, and there's no padding, and it's just
it's just pure violence. Like, it's kind of fun. Like, I like it. It's almost like lacrosse in a way. Lacrosse, I didn't realize how intense lacrosse was. Oof.
Yeah, lacrosse. Oof. That exactly.
Yeah, that's intense.
I actually like Australian rules football more than I like rugby.
Yeah. I like Australia.
Rules. Yeah, Australian rules football is always good. The circle, the nice circle there, and you got the little guy in the white outfit and he's doing the 1 point, and you got to try, and it's good stuff there. The other thing, the K balls, the kicking balls, and I really didn't know what these were, Heather, until I started.
Yeah.
As we may have talked about, my son, he's got my genes, so he's not huge, but I was like, dude, you need to be a kicker. And so he's been practicing kicking. And I was like, what is the deal with K balls? Well, those are special balls that are marked very specifically to be used by the special teams.
They are.
And because otherwise you could tamper with them. People would heat them and do whatever and misshape them or whatever they needed to do.
Deflate them.
That's it. So these balls come specially wrapped, and you can't.
They do.
And they're there at the game or whatever it is. But now a rule was passed that staff members can prepare the K balls before the game day.
Yes.
I'm worried.
I don't know what advantage that gives. Like, I don't know enough about this to know what kind of advantage that would give, because obviously it has to give an advantage, or there would have never been that rule proposal for this particular change.
Right. And the question will be, what do they mean by they will be able to have to prepare them? Because my concern would be, is there going to be funny business? Maybe they'll still have to check them before the game.
Maybe. There's some kind of inspection. Yeah.
The NFL, the No Fun League. Did you see some of the?
Yeah, I did see. Did you? I know exactly where you're going with this. They added things to the list of violations for unsportsmanlike conduct. You can't do this because we are all sensitive. We are all sensitive anymore. And I just think that aggravates me. You have grown men who are multi-millionaires, and if their feelings get hurt because they got scored on and someone is celebrating in front of them, don't play. Yeah, like, maybe I don't like that, but
I like the more creative celebrations.
You can't do the nose wipe celebration. You can't brandish a gun, which is stupid. Anyway.
Well, what is the deal with the nose wipe gesture? What is that supposed to mean?
I have no idea.
Like, you're a booger. You're snot.
Right. You're snot. You snot nose little bit. Oh, sorry. No, I didn't say it. Don't.
You didn't. You're good.
Don't take us down. I didn't say it. So I remember when we weren't even allowed to spike the ball.
Right,
Like you got fined 15 grand before, because Roger Goodell was like, you cannot have fun. If you
What
score,
about, okay, who are some of the best violators of celebration rules? Terrell Owens.
Teams now. Oh, well, yeah, Terrell Owens was.
He signed with the popcorn, and he's got a Sharpie, and that guy was great. I hated him.
He was amazing. You hated it, but if you were a fan of his, you loved every second of it. I like the celebrations that these teams are doing now, these elaborate celebrations that they're doing now, where I think I saw one on TikTok where they did Glee. I've never watched Glee, but it showed them actually practicing the dance, the Glee dance to do. I know Detroit was really good. Minnesota had some really good ones. I like seeing the, rolling out the red carpet celebration.
Hollywood.
That's fun. That's fun. And if your feelings get hurt as a player, well, then play better defense. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I think and there's a difference between those types of celebrations and like the taunting in your face over the top of the player. I don't agree with
you're
that.
laying on the ground. You don't do that like that. That's just grow up. Like you wrecked him, move on.
Wrecked him, damn near killed him.
Wrecked him, damn near killed him.
I'm glad we went to the same place there. And then possibly some of the biggest things that are coming about are the use of the Hawkeye system as it pertains to the measurement of first downs, which will kind of make the chain gangs will be there as a backup on the sideline. There'll be secondary. But I was trying to figure out, I'm like, okay, someone's got to mark the ball, and then how do you know where the yard marker is? Again, are they just moving the chains? Or like, okay, it's marked based upon this Hawkeye system, and it's marked correctly, so then you know where the chains are supposed to be, and then by the time you go to mark it, you'll know where it is. Yes, the 6-cam system,
yeah,
and
it's like in any job, you can't. AI is great, but you still have to have the human element in it. So I don't know. I'm not like super jazzed about that one yet. And do I get upset when refs wreck a spot? If it's against the Browns, I get a little bit mad, but they are human and it's a dog pile, man. It's hard to see sometimes.
It is. But part of the problem is that, and I think where I was thinking it was going to go was the chip in the ball, because like you use.
Well, right. Almost like an air tag, almost like an Apple AirTag, where it gives you the precise location.
Right. I mean, the Bills, we don't know if they got screwed or not, but you could argue one way or the other. You can't tell, and because you couldn't get a visual on it. If you had a chip in the ball, you could have been able to figure it out. I mean, look at tennis. Do you watch tennis?
Absolutely. They use that, and they know the precise location by the millimeter. I feel like football is a little bit harder though, because you have 400-pound linemen piled up on top, and it's a little bit harder to spot it, I think.
Yeah, there's lots of meat and potatoes down there. I don't know what.
There are a lot of meat and potatoes. There are.
Heard about what happens in the dog piles down there?
I don't want to know. I do not want to know. Unless I'm in the bottom of that dog pile, I don't want to know.
I just heard there's some terrible things being done to the. I mean, geez, we could call it Law and Order SVU to investigate.
I was gonna say I have nails, guys. Get me on your in the bottom of that. It would hurt.
All right, I done know not to mess with you.
We can move on to the next rule change. That's not going to talk about that.
Or what rule change is that?
Moving it to the 35-yard line now. So the touchbacks now are no longer on the 30. They are on the 35-yard line. So I have a couple of stats.
Okay, go for it.
I would be. He said I would be a menace. I'm a menace, not in the bottom of the pile. I would be really bad at the bottom of the pile. So they changed the rule last year to touchbacks are at the 30. There is a reduction in concussions on kickoffs. They dropped by 43%. So the proposed rule change worked. I think that we're going to see an even further reduction. Now, there was a return rate of only 32.8%. So let's just say 33% return rate. It'll be very interesting to see now what they do, because now it's going to be 5 yards up for, 35-yard line. That's a generous. If someone runs it out of the end zone to the 35, you're going to say that was a great run.
Yes.
You're going to say, look at that was a great return. So,
it requires skill and coaching to not stick it out of the end zone. And
that's what he just said. Mike just said it. It's going to force teams to stop kicking the ball out. I don't think it will. I think that these teams are still going to give up that extra 5 yards. I still think that it's going to.
It depends on game. I think it'll depend on game situation.
I agree. The score, who you're playing. I mean, not to pile on my own team, but if you're playing the Browns and you're down by 7 with, in a 2-minute drill, you're gonna give the Browns that extra 5 yards. Let's just call a spade here. But if it's Kansas City, you're not going to give them that extra 5 yards. You don't want to give them an extra inch, or even a Buffalo or a Detroit.
Because if you do not want to give them the ball at the 35-yard line, they get one first down. They're over the 45-yard line. They only nowadays with kickers, you only really needed, if let's say you start at the 35, you really only need to get to about the opposing team's 38 to 40-yard line, because it's about, so if you get to the 38, it's like a 55-yard kick, and that's routine now.
Well, it is. And yeah, like Mike, I was just, you're not going to give Mahomes or Allen 5 extra yards. You're just not going to do that. You're not going to give even some of the, you're just not going to give some of these teams. I'd say half the teams in the league, you're not going to do that.
No, absolutely not. I mean, some teams are inept, like the Browns, that can't move the ball anyway. But they also might think, hey, your return game sucks. So
right. So we're just gonna roll. We're gonna roll the dice.
Whatever happens.
Yeah,
no,
we're gonna try to force a field.
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity for kickers and for coaches to really do their job. I don't know how to say it.
I agree.
Do your job.
There is no other way to say that. Do your job. Do your job. It's going to change. It's definitely going to change. And I think that this is where coaching is going to become even more important, because now you're going to have to, okay, this is what we need you to do. I need you to go execute this particular play now, because 5 yards doesn't seem like a lot, but 5 yards is a lot when the game is on the line.
Well, yeah, it's only 5 yards less than the penalty for kicking it out of bounds on a kickoff.
Exactly.
It is. There are punitive damages here.
There's
So I don't know. That's a big one to me. But we shall see. I'll be curious to see what happens. And I think there's also some stuff with again, I don't have this all down in front of me, because it gets into the weeds, the replay assist and what they can help with, and possibly some missed calls or judgment.
Yeah, I saw that. And I'm sorry, the Cavs are going on. Yeah. They're up by 13 now.
Yep.
So there is a chance to reverse flags for face mask, hit to a defensive player, horse collar, tripping, and then running into or roughing the kicker. So if there's a flag called for that, you could potentially have that picked up, which I like that, because there are a lot of, you're like, that wasn't a face mask, now there should be something that you can say for a missed face mask call.
Yes. That's really where I think we had the biggest arguments last year, was the missed face masks, on what was it, like back-to-back plays in that one game. Who was that? Was that, I'm losing my memory as to which game that was, that there were multiple face masks deep in their own end, and that should have been called, and, totally changed the outcome of it. I don't know why we can't implement the Sky Judge like they had in the XFL.
Because that makes too much sense.
It does. I don't get it. Can I get Gene Steratore out there with his index card, please?
Yes. Let's put that in. Let's have the Browns propose that change.
Yes. All first downs must meet the index card measurement to be a rule. So yeah, we'll see what happens. And then, of course, they'll have points of emphasis for the officials, whether it's the landing with your weight on the quarterback on a sack, or the let's see what happens. They changed the definition, I think, a little bit. They tweaked the hip drop tackle rule a little bit.
They did.
So I don't know.
There's a lot of rule changes, and I think most of them are pretty good. I think some of them are kind of like, well, whatever. But I think most of them are good this year.
I do think so as well. Well, let's talk really briefly about our poop show of a team, because we talked about baseball bats, and our owner used a baseball analogy at the owners meeting, and it got a lot of attention. And how could you not swing at these pitches? They're so close. Ball 4, ball 8, and he's walked the bases loaded. Oh, let's leave him out there, see how he does.
This is what you get with the Best Dawg Gone Podcast. You get some references, guys.
Exactly. Movie references.
I don't honestly, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about. I feel like it is months too late, because I will be honest with you, and I think that you and I might have talked about this maybe on your Going Nuclear or on another. If he had just apologized and said, we screwed up, we made a mistake, we're going to do better, we're going to draft a quarterback, we know we swung for the fence and we missed, just like he did. But now it's too late. The damage is done. It's like you've hurt me too many times. Your apology doesn't mean garbage. I don't care about your stupid apology anymore. I don't know. How did you feel about, so for everybody that doesn't know, Haslam, I'm not even going to get it. Haslam basically said, I'm sorry, we messed up. We swung for the fence and we missed. No freaking kidding, Jimmy.
Yeah, no kidding. And really, it doesn't change much for me. Okay. I wasn't mad that they tried this all-in move. It backfired. And he could have said something and admitted that sooner, but it wasn't clear. So let's put it this way. After year 2 of the deal, we still weren't sure. The last time we had seen Deshaun Watson on the field, he comes, he plays in that Baltimore game. We think there's hope. So then
that's what we do. We see a glimmer of hope, and we're like, oh, we're going to hold on to it.
Right, exactly. So then last season comes around, and it was clear that things weren't right. And then he goes down with these injuries, and there aren't a lot of times that the owners speak. And I think now, as they started to plan for the draft and work on deals with Myles Garrett and figure everything else out, this was the right time to say something. It doesn't help the people who were angry at the person and the risk they took to trade for a guy with such. I
don't hate the risk, though. So let's just go back. I don't hate the risk because everybody out there who is like, well, we should have never done it. Hindsight is 2020, and we took a risk on what they thought was going to be the answer. It's not like they said, okay, we're going to bet the farm on some unproven, person, right, and something that we don't know. Watson wasn't bad. I'm taking all of his off the field stuff. Yeah. I don't even want to get into that. The Browns did what they thought was going to be the answer to get us into the playoffs and maybe a Super Bowl. They spent the farm. They re-signed all of the talent on defense, and everybody forgets that we did have other people that we signed besides Deshaun Watson. Right. We got talent around him. We had Kareem Hunt. We had Nick Chubb. That was when we, I guess it kind of started when we signed Jarvis Landry, because I feel like that was kind of the avalanche that started.
the Landry thing was before then, right?
It was. That's what I'm saying. That's when it started, that we started to see these signs of, okay, the Browns are going to try to do what is best for the team. Like, that's when we started to see this. So when they signed Deshaun, they tried. They were doing what they thought was best. It wasn't malicious. It wasn't to see this result. I promise you that.
No, absolutely not. And I know there were people who were mad from it from a personal reason. There were people that were mad at it. They felt like Baker had been done wrong, but there was a lot going on that we will never know. We will not know what was going on there.
We all forget at that time, Baker was not the Baker that we're seeing now.
No.
He had flashes. He had flashes. So I don't hate Baker Mayfield. I love seeing him successful in Tampa Bay. I love seeing him happy. And I will never, the guy played basically everything in his body was broken for us. That wasn't the right answer. I don't think that helped. But regardless of how you feel about it, they did what they did. It had decent intentions, I think, and it blew up in their face. But when it got bad, no one said a word. When it was really, really bad, Haslam's didn't say a word. Stefanski gave his, and he has to. There are a lot of people that say he should have said, and I'm not going to trash my boss publicly, ever. I would never do that. Neither would any of the people who were saying that they should have. So Stefanski should have never said anything in press conferences. But all we heard was it's unicorns and rainbows, and we're going to move forward with him, and we've all had it. Had they said after this all crashed and we saw more allegations and he tore his Achilles and then he tore it again because he was gallivanting around, should have just said, I messed up. I think it's just like empty. My long-winded way of saying it's empty words at this point.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Right. So now we need to see actions. And so that brings me to my question about, at the bottom of the line, the bottom line, end of the day for the Browns, they've got the number 2 pick in the draft. We still need a quarterback, and I don't trust these guys to make the right pick. And
I don't. Unless it's Cam Ward. I'm okay with Cam Ward.
I'm okay.
But he's not going to be there. He's not going to be there.
Not. And it's too hefty of a price to trade up because
I agree
that he's the best quarterback. But my question is this: how are these draft experts? What is wrong with Shedeur Sanders? I mean, they've talked about guys that were like can't miss, like, hey, Jamarcus Russell. I mean, just because the guy.
No. Yeah, so there are so many people that are down on him. Do I want Shedeur? No, he's not my first choice. No. If they draft him, will I be losing my mind? Like probably half of the fit. No, I'm not going to lose my mind about it either because it's a relatively safe pick at that. Who else is available? And we need a quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. So to pass on that on like Sanders. Who are you going to draft? Are you going to have to come back up, give up draft capital? I mean, I don't want Kenny Pickett as my opening day quarterback, but it sure as hell seems like that's going to be it.
No, little hands.
I tried to convince myself that he'd be okay, but I looked at his stats,
I can't do it.
And they're terrible.
Yeah, I can't.
Terrible. So, I don't know, and we'll see. I think that I know that some have said that Barry and Stefanski are getting kind of a mulligan here, to use the golfing term, because
they better get it right. They better get it right because this is it.
Or they're gonna be packing up their boxes and leaving Berea at this time next year. They'll be long gone if they don't get it right.
I think Andrew Barry will be gone before Kevin Stefanski will.
I think
he'll be the first domino, and then Stefanski will get another year, I think.
Yeah, I mean, where's Paul DePodesta? Can somebody where in the world is Paul DePodesta?
It's Carmen San Diego. I'm loving all the pop culture references, you guys. When you're rewatching this, check out all these little nuggets that we're throwing in here.
Oh yeah, I mean, my chance of Barry being successful is 0.0. Fat, drunk, and stupid. It's no way to go through life.
Oh
boy.
That snow game was legendary. That was a lot of fun.
It was. Well,
we had a couple of bright spots. So
we certainly did. And so we are down to, what is it? Today's the 2nd, 3 weeks from now, the draft. So excited for that.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. That's going to be, I love the draft, and I love everything that you're seeing kids have their whole lives made, like everything they've worked for. And I know that they haven't lived long, but they've been working for this since they were little. When they were in Pee Wee football, they've been working for this their whole life. So it's just really exciting to see that joy on their face and to see their dreams come true.
Absolutely. Maybe Danny Shelton can come out and give Roger Goodell, someone can give Roger Goodell a big bear hug, lift him up.
And then accidentally drop him. What?
That would be good. I wouldn't mind that. I did. You know what? The best part of COVID was the draft, that he was like sitting as a recliner in his basement.
He was still getting booed.
He was. And then you got to see Cliff Kingsbury in his house.
Yeah. I know. We are not living right. I'm like in my little condo here. But I do have plenty of liquor. I got plenty of liquor, so.
Yes, that is good. That is definitely good. Well, I think we've said it all and then some tonight, Heather.
We have said it all and then some. My guy, Isaac Okoro, is having a nice night. He's got 6 rebounds and 11 points tonight. And he's not wearing his braids. I love that. So I had to shout out my boy, Isaac Okoro.
And let me tell you, Heather, talking to Tim last night, he said that Isaac Okoro is a funny guy. He is
a funny guy. I love him. I made him so nervous
from the cameras.
No, when I met him, I made him nervous, I think, but he genuinely smiled at me. So I'll take it.
Did he blush?
No, he may have. I think I definitely made him uncomfortable because he's shy. He's really shy. So I definitely was like, he was just like, whoa, lady. You're like a wrecking ball. You need to calm down.
See, I think, he doesn't know any better. You're like, he's like, man, this 20-something-year-old is.
Who is this fiery redhead? I tried to tell Max Struess, because we went to that dinner on Monday. We went to the benefit dinner. I did try to. I'm like, Max, tell Isaac I love him. He's laugh though. He definitely laughs. So
I definitely that. I want to hear all about that. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah. We'll have to. I'll share some pictures. It was a really good time.
Well, that is fantastic. So again, everybody, you need to follow us. You need to like us. You need to subscribe. Thank you so much to everybody who has tuned in. Best Dawg Gone Podcast on Twitter or X. You can follow Heather at all of the screen names there. And you can follow me at egreen432, 425. And be sure to know that you can listen to the podcast later. If you miss an episode, you can be driving around. You can pull up the Odyssey app. You can go on Spotify or your Apple, where all your Apple podcasts are. And you can find the Best Dawg Gone Podcast, as well as everything else that is part of the Fanatical Elves Network and Fans First Sports Network, which we are very proud to be a part of. So again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Heather, thank you as always. Fantastic. And we'll be back again with more interesting insights and random movie references.
You get it all here. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We really appreciate it.
Yep, you've been tuned in to the Best Dawg Gone Podcast in the land here on the Fanatical Elves Network, a subsidiary of the Fans First Sports Network.